So, welcome to ESG Employment to unlock opportunities in ESG. Now, what is ESG Employment? ESG Employment is a division of ESG Consultancy, which is the mother company. So, ESG Consultancy has multiple subsidiaries, of which one is ESG Employment. So, ESG Employment is specifically tailored for everyone with experience in ESG or corporate social responsibility, sustainable development, or just focused on environment or governance as such, or social sustainability. All those with the background in ESG or sustainability matters are welcome at ESG Employment, and also those that would like to reskill themselves coming from another field are welcome at ESG Employment. Now, another subsidiary is ESG Academy. ESG Academy offers ESG training and certificates for those who want to upskill or reskill or do not have any background in ESG at all. They can follow trainings with us. And our third division is ESG Consultancy Services. Now, ESG Consultancy Services does all the freelance assignments. So we have multiple clients around the world. Most of our clients are either in the aviation industry or material handling industry. And now we've opened the doors to take more clients due to the Green Deal. So here, that is just for freelancing. Now, the difference between ESG Employment and ESG Consultancy Services is that ESG Employment, we put you on a payroll of one of our clients. And with ESG Consultancy Services, you're a freelancer and you're invoicing us directly. Another one of our subsidiaries is Premium Carbon Credits, a division recently created for our clients as well to create carbon credits. They're right now being developed in Central Africa for the hard to abate emission sectors. And then we have Sustain, which is situated in Nigeria to cater to our sub-Saharan clients in terms of ESG. So that is just an overview of ESG Consultancy Group and how you get to ESG Employment. I myself am Francine Caron. I'm a 4-time nominee Sustainability Manager of the Year. And last year I was the finalist. Now I have 2 decades of experience in sustainability. And as I always say, I came from the Millennial Development Goals. My first job was on a UN mission in Liberia working on the Millennial Development Goals. And then I developed all the way as we're working today on the Sustainable Development Goals. As well as we know that those goals won't be reached, I'm sure they will come up with other frameworks and acronyms in the future. But just to give you a quick background, I have an educational background in international affairs, Master of Science in Political Communications, and Advanced Master in Global Management. And I'm still trying to finish my PhD in aviation sustainability economics. I have a son at university right now who's doing his bachelor's degree. And I think when he gets his bachelor, I probably get my PhD. So that one, I leave it for now and I'll start the webinar. So first of all, for those who don't know what ESG are and they're maybe coming from a different field, ESG stands for Environment, Social, and Governance. When we say environment, we're focusing on the company's environmental stewardships and its impact on nature. When we talk about social factors or social sustainability, we talk about managing relationship with employees, suppliers, and communities. And the governance factors, which is becoming very important nowadays, is how are we going to manage this company ethically? So here we talk a lot about corruption. We talk about accountability to the board of directors and such. Now, this webinar is not going to last too long, 30 minutes to give you a very clear understanding of what you can do to get or nail a job in ESG with our help. So why is ESG so important nowadays? Well, there is the rise of ESG. Back in the days when you were an early adopter of ESG, you were literally called crazy in companies. I remember telling CEOs that they should work more on their sustainability. Otherwise, one day companies wouldn't select them anymore. And they told me, oh, we have a monopoly. What do you know? We just hired you for regulation matter, compliance matters, and now you're going to tell us what to do. A couple of years later, I got a phone call back from that CEO saying, so what did you say about all those ESG and sustainability certificates? And I was like, okay, all right, I can tell you, I told you so. So today we're in that era of I told you so, and ESG is becoming very important. So if we're just going to look at the growth of ESG investments from 23 to 24, we see that the market itself in terms of ESG investing globally, and I'm picking here on ESG finance to show the importance of ESG. It grew from $25.13 trillion in 2023 to $29.86 trillion in 2024. That's a growth of 18.82%. Now, if you were going to get that type of interest rates, you would be very happy. So you can understand the importance of ESG. If we're looking at what happened from 2023 to 24 in terms of organizations increasing their sustainability investments, then we can say it went up 85%. And the year before that, 75%. Now, the regions that are mostly invested into ESG at the moment is Europe, the United States, and Canada. Many people right now are worried about what is going on in the US with Trump being elected. Will there still be a lot of investment in ESG or in green matters or other social sustainability? Well, I can tell you there's not a lot that is going to change under Trump, because these investments were already done during the Biden administrations, and a lot of Republican companies, let's say companies that are led by people who have a Republican background, have all invested tremendous amount of money in this field. So it's just going to continue following the money trail, and we have nothing to worry about. In terms of Europe, they're going to stay no matter, even though Europe is moving towards nationalistic right-wing governments, it's not going to change much either, because the Green Deal is a European directive. That means that no other leader actually can remove these new laws and regulation unless the EU would be completely dissolved, which is not going to happen in the near future either. So this is a very good field to continue working in, or to start working in. Even if we're going to look back at 2020, you see that between 2020 and 2022, there was an increase of 15%. So you see how it is rapidly increasing. Those that are joining this webinar from outside the EU, even more important, ESG is actually now today labeled a critical skill for the EU. That means when the EU identifies something as a critical skill gap, that means that non-EU nationals can easily get visas when they can prove that they have experience and education in this field. So there is a visa called the EU Blue Visa, which allows for foreign nationals to apply for such a visa to gain access to the European market and apply for jobs within ESG and other jobs as well that belong to the critical skill gap in Europe. So those that are following from outside the EU, take a look at that, because that might be very important. Right now, it is really raining ESG jobs everywhere. I remember in the beginning of my career, it will be very difficult to find this type of job. And if you wanted to switch jobs, you were always taking the risk that you would be maybe without a job 1 or 2 years. Those days are over. ESG is also well paid compared to other fields today, and it's continuously growing. So what are the career opportunities ESG? I put here 5 different titles, but there's many, many more. Today, actually, I got another email from a company asking how should we title someone who is the director in ESG, for example. Should it be the corporate ESG director? Should it be the corporate sustainability director? So there's many, many titles in this field. But just to take a look at it, we have the sustainability and analyst, which is asked many times. This is the person who's going to evaluate a company's sustainability practices and report its performance metrics. Then we have the ESG consultant. This is also asked a lot. It is to advise companies on their strategy or even develop their strategy. And then you still have the corporate social responsibility manager. You still see that less people are using ESG, and CSR actually very often for meaning the same position. So we still see those titles coming up as well. Then what else is an interesting one that is still asked very often? That is I'm going to minimize this, the governance, risk, and compliance specialist. Here, the focus is on compliance. Often it's the sustainability function within the legal department. So with ESG becoming such a growing field and actually being a holistic business model for an entire company. Most departments need a sustainability specialist, and that sustainability ESG specialist for governance often sits in the legal department. So those with a background, in a legal background, are very welcome in this field as well to follow, of course, all of the new regulations that are coming out from the EU or from the US, to follow those up and inform the rest of the department. Then there's also the environmental scientist that is a very sought for profile, the environmental engineer, the GHG controller. These are all functions that are currently in the market. Now, what are the skills and qualifications that you need for an ESG job? And I actually need to say need between brackets because I'm not fully convinced that you always need these type of degrees for that, but that is what companies want. So if you have a degree in environmental science, business finance, or any related field, you'll be suitable for an ESG job. I often find that those specialized in politics, social, and development aid are also very good profiles for ESG jobs. You do need to have very good analytical skills. That I believe is very important because there's nowadays a lot of data crunching going on within ESG, much more than back in the days. This is also a reason why many in, like, let's say, old school ESG professionals are leaving the field because they're not used to that and they do not like the type of desk sustainability audits that are going on right now. But that opens a field for a whole bunch of new people that have these analytical skills to enter the workforce. Of course, you need to have great communication abilities because stakeholder engagement is very important in ESG. So if you're a very good and natural communicator, you're already one step ahead. Another skill you need to have is project management, very important, but I believe that is a skill that you should have in all jobs, actually, so that you can manage all of the different projects within the ESG portfolio very well. You need to have a very strong understanding of sustainability and its regulation knowledge. Sustainability knowledge is very important. What we see nowadays is that a lot of people apply for sustainability jobs, and almost 5% we actually have to reject because of lack of knowledge or certificate. So very often it's like, oh yeah, sustainability is my passion. I want to enter a new field. But what do you know about it? It's not because you know how to sort your waste at home that you are all of a sudden a sustainability professional. So again, data proficiency, very important, and knowing how to make reports is a key skill to have. Now, another part, an important part of getting an ESG job is the networking part. You can join, there's many professional organizations for ESG and per country. And there's a lot of industry conferences that you can attend. I wrote clearly, there are too many to list. And many of them are free. That's always very good also to go and network, say who you are, what you can do for someone, and then leverage social media. LinkedIn has a lot of ESG jobs available. And then I myself am a member of the ESG community on WhatsApp, which exchanges a lot of jobs every day and puts information of training. So very important to do that as well. Now, what can we offer you? Like I said before, we have ESG Academy where we give certifications. Actually, today is the start of the ESG employment training. That is today at 6:30 p.m. Brussels time. Here, we're going to go over the basic principles of ESG in 7 different models. So today it's what is ESG? Where did it come from? And where is it going? And then we're going to explain you all the different factors relating to the field. In January 2025, this month, basically, we're starting with our CSRD, that is the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive for those who haven't heard of, and the I need to change that. It should be 3Ds, the CSDDD, the due diligence, and the EU taxonomy. Those we're going to cover in 10 models. That's a very important one to certify yourself in because many companies are actually looking for professionals who are well up to date with all of these Green Deal laws. Now, what are the challenges and the solution in your ESG career? Right now, regulatory compliance. That's why we're doing a 10 model training on CSRD for the ESG market in Europe. You need to keep up with this changing regulation. I think right now there's already over 90 different laws relating to ESG. Stakeholder engagement. You need to know how to do a double materiality analysis. You need to balance the diverse stakeholders' interests. You need to know how to use ESG software. It's very important because right now everything is data. Many companies are struggling with all this data. You have huge spreadsheets, and the systems are becoming overly engineered. So you need to be able to simplify all that. You need to be able to consult companies, explain companies to what ESG reporting software or carbon accounting software they could use. Actually, I'm developing a new vacancy for someone who can develop IT, like let's say, but IT solutions for ESG. And that one is basically a process, an IT process engineer, someone who can consult a company on saying what they actually need to do ESG reporting from all their subsidiaries to, let's say, the mother company. Another important facet is continuous learning. Like I said, stay updated, keep following courses, whether they're free or are paid, stay up to date, but it's changing at a very rapid field. And then again, I get to the point of communication. Now, ESG employment, how do we go about? So ESG employment is for payroll functions only. Like I said in the beginning, that means that when we have a client who needs ESG staff, they come to us and they ask us first, who do you have in your database that is available right now that has this and this skill, that background? And then we're going to propose the candidates. How do we propose the candidates? Always anonymously. Why? Because there's still a lot of discrimination going on. And so we remove the names, we remove the gender, we remove the age, and we remove the location. So they just get a CV fully based on merit. Then the client is going to choose out of those candidates the one that gets an interview. Then we will contact you. We will give the client also all your contact information. That's the first time the client will see your name. And then you can go for an interview. The first interview is always with us to see if it takes that you have what it takes that the client needs. And then the second interview is with the client as well. Before we take the vacancies from the client, we also that you have a market conform salary. And then sometimes you can even try and negotiate with the client as well. So throughout the process, you sign a contract with us just to inform. The contract basically say that you stay in touch with us, that we want you to be at your best. We also provide you with interview questions so that you can prepare very well for the interview because we want you to get the job. You also present us in those interviews, so we want you to be in impeccable state when you do that. And that's basically what the contract between us and you as the candidates is. So that is for the payroll functions. Then we have with ESG consultancies for those who are currently in a job and do not want to switch job, but they do like to make extra money through freelancing assignments. We sometimes have assignments that take a day, sometimes they take 3 days, sometimes they're assignments that are 2 years or 3 years or long. Now, how does that work? You send us your CV, you send us your rates, and when we have a client asking for consultancy services, we're going to look in our database to see who we have, and we will send you an email asking if you are available or not. So the most important for us is to have your CV on hand, your contact information so that we can match you. Every month, we also send out the job vacancies available and then the consultancies available. We also send newsletters. So once you're in our database, you're interested, you can always reach out. The same for the trainings. And as of next year, we're going to try to see if we can put the trainings online so that in that case, you don't have to do it as a specific time a day. So what is the most important for you of today in this webinar is that you know that we have ESG courses available. You know now how it works to work with us. You can follow us on social media. Make sure to enroll in our newsletters for the latest info and job. Make sure that you keep networking. We also have our own networking events that you will get invited to. Some of them are online and others are in different cities around the world. When we see that it's a specific function that only you can do, you will get a private invite. Very often you will have to respond within 24 hours. We get requests from clients that we have to propose candidates within 24 hours. If you delay on those invitation on your side, then you probably won't get it. So I've now come to the end of my presentation. I'm going to stop sharing the presentation. You can always email us at hello@esgemployment.com, and one of our staff members will always respond. Some of you have my private email. I also try to respond on that whenever I can. So now I leave the floor to you all, and please, if you have questions, go ahead. We still have 10 minutes for questions.